Welcome to Laurie Maves ART Live Creative Journeys interview series. Today we have the first follow-up in the series with who I consider a dear sweet friend from Substack, Elizabeth Reece. Hi, Kelly.
Hi,
Thanks for
Laurie.
joining. Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining. Thanks for giving us time today to revisit and reconnect. And if you guys remember or don't remember, Kelly, thank you for joining us. Um, Elizabeth was one of the early people in this interview series. She is the author of Untreated Minds. Great book written
You
from
did, didn't
some,
you? Thank you.
yes. So if you guys have questions for Elizabeth today, we're going to kind of talk what you've been doing the last 6 to 9 months, bringing us up to speed, or whatever it is we'd like to talk about today for the next 30 minutes about creativity, about Reiki energy, about living an authentic self, about pursuing dreams, making them realities, all this wonderful stuff. So thanks.
Oh, Laurie, it's so nice to be here again. I can't believe I was trying to remember how long it had been since we spoke. And then as you were introducing me, trying to think, what have I been doing in the last 6 months? So I live in the south of France. I ended up here kind of by accident. I know that sounds a little bit crazy for a woman who was 47 at the time. Like, how do you end up in the south of France by accident? The story's in the book, by the way. Although it's a novel, so
It's a novel. Sorry.
based on real events. And so the last 6 months, I, I've found myself in a very challenging situation in France, as you know. So it's been very much about survival. Rolling up to 50, which happened last year, and going, what the blinking hell is happening in my life? Could things get any more insane? Trying to build a life and a business in a new country, try to get my administration settled, trying to find a house, trying to find somewhere to live. I've moved 13 times in the last year alone. Or is that in the last 3 years? In the
That's a
last
lot
year,
either way.
I've moved like 6, 7 times. So it's crazy, and I had no intention of being nomadic. I came here to settle and to build.
Sure.
So, adapting and adjusting to life's challenges has been a challenge. But we learn, we live, we grow, we keep going, and oh my God, I've learned so much, not just about living in another country, but about all the skills that I'd forgotten about when it comes to making your way in a world where things happen that you just do not expect. I've learned to get really comfortable with uncertainty, and I've really learned, certainly over the last 6 months, and these are great big things, or at least they are for me, and they are in terms of the context in which I coach. I didn't know that not everybody wants to know who they are. Not everybody asks the question, who am I? There's a lot of big talk around the place about finding your calling, finding your purpose. That's great, but most times people tend to think of that as a thing that they do rather than who they really are. And that is a deep excavation exercise, let me tell you. So in the last 6 months, I was desperate for income. And I thought, let me go to companies that I have really good experiences with, and I'll go back into corporate. I'll work remote. I'll move to Dubai. I'll do whatever. And for whatever reason, I was strung along for 6 months. And in the end, I pulled out. I was like, this is exactly why I came out of corporate in the first place.
Oh, shoot.
I can't stand the bullshit. I'd rather take my chances out here in the wild than go through that. That was huge for me because I've got one foot in the wild, and I keep every now and again thinking maybe I should go back to the cage. Maybe I should go
Yeah.
back to the cage because it was safe there. I earned money there. Yes, I got treated like shit. I had to, all
Right.
the awful things
Right.
that happen, in a corporate workplace environment. But I'm stronger now. I can handle it now. The thing is, I just don't want to.
Right.
I'd rather struggle out here in the wild than struggle in there in the
Then
cage.
go into something that you know is gonna suck ass, and or or you may be betting that it's not, but if it just keeps showing you it's exactly what it was before, it's like staying in a rel it's you know what? What a great metaphor. It's like, right, staying in a relationship that you know is shitty, but at least you know it is, and you know what it is rather than like at least people so many times people are so comfortable in their discomfort that it's more unsettling not knowing what's coming. At least if you go home to a crappy situation or whatever, it's like, "Oh, well, it's the same crap all the time, and I don't have to be surprised by it." But
Well, this is the thing that keeps people so stuck. And again, I'm all for comfort. I think we all need to. Sorry, it's my dog trying to get my attention. We all need to find our safe space, whether that is an external space or an internal space. We all deserve that,
yeah, yeah,
Our nervous systems remember, and it's our nervous system that emits our energy, our frequency, and creates our connections to other people, whether they're healthy connections or not. And
right.
so, Einstein's definition of insanity, we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But I read recently, and I love this because I'm always trying to figure out not whether or not I'm intelligent, but what type of intelligence I demonstrate. And so this article talks about intelligence being the ability to observe your thoughts objectively. And this happens in stages, right? So it's CBT, it's NLP, it's just knowing when you're having a negative thought and turning it into a positive thought is not just enough. We need to we need to work with that positive thought, because it's not always true. Just turning a negative into a positive is just words, it's just semantics, but do we really believe it? That work happens in our nervous systems. It happens in our biofields, which is the energy. So a lot of us run around in quite confused energy. The push pull, the fear of success, fear of failure. But for me, I know it was insane to walk back into corporate, but I was desperate. Um, and that's why my book's called The Patterns and Chaos of Untreated Minds, because the insanity is the pattern. And the untreated is, we always think in medical terms, if it's untreated, it's unhealthy.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about the untreated, unhealthy patterns where we sacrifice the growth and the possibility and the potential for comfort. And you probably know a little bit about what I've gone through. Not only did I run away from a psychopath, but I've with all these moves and so on, and now I'm thinking about buying a house. Like, there's a very real possibility I might be able to do it now, and I'm thinking, oh, do I even want to do that? And I have to stand still and be happy and content and safe for a period of time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of questioning that a little bit, going, but there's some sort of weird freedom that I have in the way I live my life, in the way I make my choices, that I have never had before. Nonetheless, I do need to get settled and start really properly um, writing my second book and building on my client base, and stop messing around in this, in the wild.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's obviously a really huge gift of time too for you just to kind of, like you said, settle in, and for people who are constantly running from one job to the next or this. There was a woman who was a student, one of my yoga students the other day at the yoga studio, and she's mid-60s, and this is not the same. It's just there's some I'm sorry, small similarity, but she was just talking about the fact that she has gone from job to job to job to job for over 50 years. And she had just started a new job, and when she was in the training, she was just kind of like, I don't even know, I think maybe she's gonna be working at a restaurant or something, and the manager is saying, "Well, you're gonna have to clean toilets," and she's like, "What am I doing?" Like, she's like, "I I just keep doing job I take job to stay busy, and the income's nice, but I don't necessarily need it," and so she's like, I, like, sat in orientation, I'm like, w she almost felt like just that when that one manager or the HR person was like, "You're gonna have to clean some toilets," and she was like, "Really? Like, I'm 65, I've done all this stuff in my life, and now I'm taking some job at a restaurant and cleaning toilets?" She was like, "Wait a minute," and she had, like, this light bulb moment, she was like, "I just need to chill out for a minute and not work," and she's like, she has Social Security, so she financially, she doesn't, like, have to go to a job, so she's grateful for that, but she's like, "I just need to take, like, a month." She goes, "I couldn't even tell you the last time I had a month to myself just to think about what I might wanna do next," or like you even said, like, just to think about who she is, right? Because 'Cause you're constantly in this mode or in this role of like, who am I as a mother? Who am I as a daughter? Who am I as a sister? And it's like, unless you like seriously work on it and take time out of your life and dedicate it to who is Lori? Who is Elizabeth? Who am I? Who is that person that's sitting there breathing? We get really lost. You have an
Yeah.
untreated mind.
I
So,
think I think a lot of people tend to think that um, going on an excavation of self-discovery is very self-centered and and selfish. Particularly, my book touches a great deal on dark triad and narcissistic traits. I I think I used the word narcissist maybe twice, although it's very clear that there are some very dangerous characters in the book that um, are pathological. Um, and I think everybody's quite concerned about being, well, if I go on this journey, my kids will think I'm selfish, or, my partner will think I'm selfish, but honestly, I mean, I came 7 years ago, into 7 years plus into recovery from addiction to alcohol. So
mhm,
I had to learn, literally had to rebuild my worldview from scratch through a spiritual program, and it was absolutely incredible. I I'm not married. I don't have kids. So my work life, the people around me, everything improved. The atmosphere in the office, um, your world bends when you're the individual who is problematic, was problematic. It was me. I wasn't the most problematic person in that environment, far from it. But my whole experience changed because my energy was calm. I knew who I was, and I knew why I was there, and I was safer in that environment than I had been. Um, but it's not selfish. It's actually a not only an act of self-love, it's an act of love for your nearest and dearest, and for your community, because my parents, sorry, to go back further, but my parents were miserable together and they were miserable apart. And as a child, as early as I can remember, I never felt safe. I just wanted my parents to be more like everybody else's parents, where I could go to their houses and I could feel safe and looked after, and like they wanted me around. And kids want present, safe, happy parents. And
mhm,
for me to become, even as an individual with no immediate family around me, I want to be that safe, happy individual that can go out into the world, meet people wherever I go, and leave them with that sense of like they've had been breathed on by fresh air, like it's,
yeah.
oh, you feel a little lighter, a little bit more optimistic. Maybe they've laughed a little. That's what I want to do. But I do that by A, staying sober, and B, working on who I am and who I want to be every day. Um, recovery stuff is really helpful for that. I'd love to be doing more coaching, to be honest. My latest pivot is obviously integrating Reiki into my coaching offer, because I think, and anybody who's on the call, if you want to comment on this, feel free to disagree. But what I can see, because pure coaching really relies on the client to want to do the work. The coach is simply the mirror. We
Right.
get to ask great questions, but it's not about us in any way. My experience only helps you if you come to me to mentor you or to teach you or to train you. But as a coach, it's really up to the individual to dig deep to get to the gold that is going to allow a coach to guide them towards their outcomes. And what I notice is people want blueprints. They want the how-tos. They want to be told
Sure.
how to solve their problem and how to get from A to B as quickly as possible. You don't learn in a sustainable way if somebody does it for you.
Right.
And a good coach does it with you. But the great thing about Reiki is that it's much like the higher power that helps people in recovery. Reiki is a source of infinite energy. So when it's difficult, we can integrate Reiki to do the heavy lifting, the
Mm.
energetic heavy lifting. So I think it's just a beautiful way to get people that are really struggling to articulate what their goal is, and their goals are going to be based on who they are. But what
Right.
I notice with clients is very often the goal is not the goal. They might want, I mean, you see it all over the place, don't you? Like 10K months, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, money isn't the thing that makes most people light up. So
Right.
it's really nice to have, and we can be very, very happy spending it and doing things that it affords us. But, the smile on your kid's face, or a phone call from a friend, or an incredible home cooked meal, or I saw a rainbow this morning. I drove up the hill. I was thinking about generating income and all the sources that I can tap into and the things that I need to be doing. And I was thinking, oh, I need to build, I need to do this. And I drove up the hill, and right in front of me in the road, because France is, we have this vast sky. Things aren't built up high, and so that you always get views. And there was this rainbow right in front of me. I was deep in thought. I was really in flow, and then I tuned into what was playing on the radio. It was ABBA, "Money, money, money in a rich man's world," and I was like, "Wow!" So did my thoughts? Did I just render my experience? Did that experience just appear in my all my senses created this. Yes, Elizabeth. Yes, there is gold at the end of your rainbow. And I was so excited. I was so, so, so excited. I skipped up around the hill with Johnny, my dog, and came back and started to did a little bit of work on with Gemini on goals and outcomes and business plans, and what I needed to do. And it really did inspire me. Anyway, I can't remember where I started with this, but the integration of Reiki into coaching, and energy. So the energy does the heavy lifting when people can't shift or can't articulate the blocks.
Sure. This is a great segue because you directed me to, we had a short chat yesterday before we planned this. And I just want to say hi to everyone who came on, which is Julie, Alexi, Juliana, Moki, and Sally. Sally Soleil might still be on, and Kelly. Guys, thanks for hanging out here. We talked about this a little bit, Elizabeth. So I don't know if you want to direct people, but the steps to consolidation that you have on your website, you directed me to go there yesterday. It's tying into exactly what you're talking about now. And um, I'm trying to think of how to get people there, but we were talking about this, and I went through this little exercise where you write down your 10 desires, your 10 gratitudes, your 10 enjoyments, and then maybe you can explain the rest to see how use it,
Yeah.
if you're using this for like what kind of goals you're really looking to set for yourself in your life, and if you just want to talk about this, because as I was writing them down, there was so much crossover between my desires, but and my enjoyments, and then what I'm already grateful for. And it's a really great little, it's a great, not a little exercise, a big exercise. And I was going to ask you, um, maybe how to figure out what this means more, but that all these things that we think are going to make us happy, like you said, like, is it really money or
Yeah.
is it more rainbows? Is it really like I was up this morning on this lanai right outside this door, and I was talking about my husband when we try to sit out there. I love sitting there every morning and trying to catch the sunrise, and I never spend any of my time really doing that. I like sunsets, but, like, if I get up before the sun, I try to sit out here and watch it because it can be so amazing just to see it unfold. And it was another really amazing morning where all the clouds get like a big blanket that's pink, and that's like your rainbow in your rainbow moment, like, this is life. Like, this is, like, being able to appreciate these for me anyway, these beautiful little moments that were if I had my head in my phone, I would have missed that whole sunrise, you know? So, but anyway, if you wanna talk about, because this newer on your website, the steps to
It's
consolidation?
my latest blog.
Okay,
So this, I did not invent the exercise.
okay,
But my master's is in applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. So positive psychology is a branch of psychology, obviously, but it's a new science that was developed in the early 2000s, and it focuses on the area of well-being from 0 to +10. So it's an area called flourishing. And because it's an academic science, we use lots of scales and measures, and we use what are called interventions in our research. So there are a lot of positive psychology interventions that are absolutely amazing. And out in the world of coaching, and manifesting, there's a whole load of different things that people could be doing. There's also stuff from recovery that is part of step work that is really, really useful. They're really useful daily exercises. I'll just give you one quick example before I go back to the 10-10-10s. Um, so when I work with women in recovery, I do a 30-day trial to see whether or not we're going to work out, because I need people to have a good level of sobriety, and also so there's two parts to step one. You're powerless over alcohol and your life has become unmanageable. I need women to be a little bit more manageable before we start doing step work. So there is something called a nightly review, where you constructively review your day, and you look at where you've been fearful, where you've been selfish, where have you been kind, and there's a series of questions. And I just ask people to consider their day and to respond to me with a yes, no. And we do it on the phone to start with, and once they've grasped it and they're doing it every single night, but the idea is that they can look constructively at their day and go, start to consider that they're actually doing well. I was a bit less fearful today. I don't have any resentments today. 9 times out of 10, the resentments keep going for 30 days and beyond, because we're trying to, we're not well at that point.
sure,
But just that, these little, bullet points that they just have to consider gives people more confidence that they can go into the next day and do better than they did the day before. It's so
okay,
simple, and it's 5 minutes, if that. So
sure,
anyway, there's tons of positive psychology interventions, and I think they're all wonderful. But this particular one, I've built on. So the intervention itself, or the exercise, is you 10 desires, 10 gratitudes, and 10 enjoyments. But I decided I like the 10, so I did it for 10 days.
okay,
And I've done it twice now. I did it this time last year, and I did it just before Christmas. Because what you then end up with, and really the exercise is, when it comes to gratitude, I think is quite a misunderstood emotion. People tend to feel it cognitively. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for my food. But actually, gratitude is this is how I view gratitude, or how I feel sense gratitude. Um, I'm cognitively grateful for a lot of things, but on a daily basis, things happen for me like the rainbow. That was meant for me. I was the only person on that hill. The three things lined up that, like, wow, that's magic. Gratitude is a surprise because something happens that you don't expect.
Mm.
And that feeling of,
Mhm.
wow, for me, that's gratitude, because I don't think you get it in any other way, not on a daily basis anyway. Um, and I think we get told a lot as kids, you should feel grateful for that. Somebody else doesn't have that. There's this guilt attached to gratitude and a bit of
Right,
shame. And so
right,
we feel we need to feel it, but you can't feel what you don't feel.
right.
So the
100%.
daily exercise of writing down gratitudes in the moment that happened that day is really, really helpful to cultivate a real relationship with gratitude, not a cognitive, because it's a feeling. It's not just something you think. Um, Now, what that ends up giving you is 300 data points for you to review. So
Mhm.
there's a easy and a less easy way to do it. So, to review those data points, obviously, I'm a coach, we would work through them together to come up with the headlines. So, um, three desires, three gratitudes, and three enjoyments. So, we're funneling it. And what we're doing is we are creating themes. So, three themes from each category.
Okay.
And then you keep funneling until you come out with you could come out with three specific goals, or you could come out with just one. I did this, I put it all into Gemini, and I asked Gemini to do the work for me because I don't have a coach. And also I was testing the validity of the intervention because I always do them myself first before I work on them with clients.
Sure.
And because I'm adding to it, I'm sort of creating new layers and new dimensions. I wanted to see what the easiest way is. So I've put it out as a blog, and other people can. I mean, the idea is that people would really come to me and say, "Okay, what do I do next?" And I
Sure,
would tell you. I would tell
sure,
you what to do next. Or can you help me? Because, I would like to, or either I don't use ChatGPT or I don't use Gemini, and can we work on it together?
sure.
Because there's a real power in that. I was talking earlier about the exchange of energy and so on.
Yep.
But you can use AI technology to help you distill those 300 data points. And and this is the tricky bit. If your AI knows you, if it knows you, because if it doesn't know you, I don't know how useful its consolidation is going to be. My
Gotcha.
AI knows me really well now because it's had a copy of my book. I do a lot of development work with it, but you could try it anyway and see if it gives you something that resonates and something that makes sense. But
Sure.
but the outcome is ultimately, if somebody is feeling directionless, they're not sure what they should be aiming for, they're a little lost, it will consolidate into a goal and an outcome. But it will also tell you a lot about who you are, because what it does, and what it did for me, is it says you already have so much of what you think you need.
Right.
And I knew that going in. I knew, which is why everything is so simple. Like, my desires are, I just want I just want to live somewhere where I can have a hot shower. I
Sure.
just want a workspace where I can feel inspired. Really simple things. It's not I want to win the lottery. Of course I want to win the lottery. I mean, that was on one of them, sort of day 7 or something. I think I wrote it 3 times. um but it's not an immediate desire that is within my capability or within anybody else's capability to give me necessarily. So
Sure.
keeping it realistic, keeping it real, and keeping it incredibly personal. And knowing that you are already doing and already have so many of the things that you think you want is fantastic, because we know what our starting point is, and we can aim for something. If we do have a goal, if we do want something,
Yeah.
then we know what to aim for, and we're not constantly asking for things that we don't have, that we do have, we're just not noticing, or we're not feeling grateful for them.
Sure.
And
Sure.
there's a lot to it's in the noticing of the small things that the magic happens.
That's really interesting. Um, so the other thing you say about this exercise is that when you write the 10 things down that you desire in this day, 10 things that you're grateful for, 10 enjoyments, things that light you up. You say to write them as quickly as possible. Like, don't sit there and or correct me if I'm wrong. It's more like these ideas, just let them flow, and the faster they come, the better. Don't overthink what you think you're supposed to be writing. Just kind of what are the first 10 things that come off the
Yeah.
top of your head?
And write them at night. Write them at night, because then, only because again, what you're effectively doing is you're constructively reviewing your day, but in a
Okay,
really positive way. You're not asking, was I fearful? Am I
sure,
resentful? You're because positive psychology wants you to focus on the 0 to 10. It wants to bring you into a flourishing state, and flourishing
sure,
is the definition of optimal well-being. It's when all the parameters of well-being are elevating your base level. So Martin Seligman, who's the godfather, if you like, of positive psychology, he developed the PERMA model. So positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning,
Karma.
an accomplishment, and then health has been added to that, and a few other ones, but those are the basic parameters of well-being. So you pretty much, I'd imagine anybody doing the exercise would cover off those elements you know within that. I mean, for example, in gratitude, I would have something like the belly laughs that I got from my phone call with so and so. I live by myself with a dog. There's not much opportunity other than, the occasional video on TikTok that really makes me laugh out loud, but what a joy when I do. And then, of course, that goes into enjoyment sometimes as well. But, I'm grateful because it doesn't happen very often.
Sure, sure. Well, so anybody watching here or anybody watching this in the future, if they do want some help or some guidance into this work, into doing some self-discovery work with a coach that can work with you in this nice, delightful way, but a coach that also has a spiritual, energetic background, has a whole corporate life background. I mean, like, you have so many of these resources from your own life experiences that you bring in. It makes you, I think, for a very unique coach, and probably a really unique coaching experience to have on many different levels. Is there any other things that you wanted to talk or highlight today about things that are coming up quickly or coming up in the next couple months for you?
Oh, well, I mean, as you know, Sally and I are working on a retreat over in France. Sally is my friend here,
And she
and
still might be on the call. I don't know. She came on earlier, and I'm not sure if
oh,
she's
did
still here.
she?
But if she's here, maybe she'll pop back in.
Yeah,
But
we're
Sally
two
Soleil.
two single middle-aged broke women trying to make make our way in the south of France. Um,
And you're
having
both
a lot
British,
of
right?
uh, having a
No,
lot of fun doing it, which is actually going to be the topic of my next book. Um, but it gets weirder than that. In fact, Laurie, you're gonna have me back on again in 3 months to talk
yeah.
about that,
Oh,
and
I'd love
the
to. Love
Kundalini
to.
and the Blue Alien stuff, because
Oh, yeah, we haven't
it
even talked
really,
about that yet.
yeah, because it's about to get weird. So we've got this great retreat happening. So there's going to be lots of mindful writing for self discovery, and Sally's taking care of the yoga, and it's going to be beautiful food and this beautiful
Please,
venue.
yeah, please give the
Um,
details for that right now if you'd like to.
Oh, I don't have
You
it.
don't have
Sorry,
them?
didn't
If you
specifically expect you. They can go
That's okay.
to, I haven't seen Sally post about it recently. If anybody's interested in hearing about a beautiful retreat near Carcassonne in the south of France, please do. If I see you connect with me on Substack, I'll know why, and then I can just pop up and say hello and get you details, or message me. You'll find me on Instagram as well. You know, I'm pretty much everywhere. Elizabeth
Yeah,
Reece.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
you're doing
just
that
trying to
retreat with
connect.
Sally, and then, at one time, and I don't know if this is still happening, but you were working on doing, like, a
Oh,
retreat space, but that's kind of where
well, I was saying to you earlier that obviously now I've explained about going up the hill and the rainbow and all the rest of it, and that
Yes.
really put me into this sort of dream space. I've I can't afford anything other than somewhere that's just going to for me and my dog to live now. Unfortunately, I never could really. I never could. I think I was living in cloud cuckoo land, but sometimes it's quite nice to live there for anybody else that's been there. I've just got back like 10 minutes ago or half an hour ago. It's really nice. Cloud cuckoo land, highly recommend. But I have seen a incredible venue here for 2 million, 2 million euros. And
There's Sally's
I'm
just
gonna
she's
start
posting.
talking about that. I'm gonna like put that on my socials and say, you know what, this is my dream. Because I don't talk about, and why should I? Who's interested in my dreams? But but I'm interested in my dreams. And
Right.
maybe somebody else is. So I'm gonna put pictures of this £2 million venue, because you know what? A friend of mine, my old neighbor in London, does as a sideline kids parties, kids little girls sleepovers with these little
Sure.
teepees and these little trays and little eye masks and so on. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to have that for grown-ups? To do grown up sleepovers, and we could feel like we did when we were kids, when we all got together and told ghost stories, and you put the torch under, that sort of thing. And there really aren't many sober retreats either. There's nowhere where people can go and kind of just hang out
Interesting.
and be sober. And so this venue would be perfect. I mean, 2 million in the general scheme of things, it's a lot of money, but it's not loads of money. And so why shouldn't I put that out there and say, I've got this crazy idea. It's not even crazy. It's not crazy at all. These are perfectly valid, a sober sanctuary, a sleepover sanctuary where we just come and have loads of fun, because that's what I wanted. I wanted a safe space for people to come, to write, to create, to live for a while, to get away, to give themselves time and space to recover, to breathe, to walk, hang out in the garden. Um, it's so simple. All the things that I do now that I enjoy, even though there's a huge weight of I really need to start doing something more grown up. I kind of don't want to, but I have to. Cloud Cuckoo Land's getting a bit crowded.
Oh, man. Well, Sally posted the retreat, Flourish and
Oh, well
Flow
done,
with
Sally.
Sole Yoga. So, or people can connect with, Sally or with you on Substack.
And I
And
should just say before we go, I am 20 plus years in corporate, and I do have a master's. I'm a level 7 coach. I take myself very, very seriously most of the time, which is why when I don't, it's so nice. So I can do both, and I do show up somewhere in the middle most times. But
yeah,
it's just so nice to be here.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you could join us today, and, it's great to reconnect. I can't wait till we'll do something like in March or April, see where you guys are at. I think
Yeah,
your retreat is in June or July.
June.
June. So if you guys are needing a a, um, a sober writing and creative yoga retreat,
Oh, it won't be sober.
it won't be sober. That's your treat. Okay.
If I could ever get the venue, it wouldn't necessarily be an entirely sober venue, but it
Okay.
would definitely have sober phases. But
Gotcha.
but
So gotcha.
this one's not.
gonna include
Although
some
it is
wine
all
or
about
something
health
like
and
that.
well-being, so
Yes.
booze is
Well,
optional.
right, right. And so yours is in June, and then I'm doing this retreat into Sardinia in May, much smaller scale retreat, but it's for, people who are wanting to do a self-discovery, wanting to kind of go to the island of Sardinia, if they haven't on the West Coast, do some slow travel for 10 days, be with other women who are still interested in travel, yes, and learning about the Sardinian culture, yes. One of the women that I've been talking to, them, she might be on here still, that's was interested in going, as we're looking at the blue zones of Sardinia, and maybe you can connect with some of those features that helps make Sardinia a blue zone. But a lot of it is beyond just what the food and the wine and has to offer. It's too about the lifestyle and the community and moving your body and drinking lots of water. But then like you going using stairs and kind of simple things that we think, well, no wonder those people are living so long because they have a community and because they're physically active and they have family they're connected to and they're not in isolation and all these things. So anyway, that was a roundabout way to plug my retreat in May, your retreat in June, and your book again one other time if anybody's interested in picking up Elizabeth Reece's book. I think you can get it on her website or you can get it on Amazon. She's coming out with a second book when she's ready for that. And if you need coaching that has a beautiful influence of a Reiki element of it, you should really connect with Elizabeth because she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you, Laurie.
So you're really pleasure. It's such a pleasure to catch up with you now. I look forward to doing this in a couple months. And
Me
I guess
too.
with that, we'll sign off, say ciao, ciao for now. All my
Bye,
best to you and
everyone.
Johnny.
Bye
Have a
bye.
great day, guys. Bye bye.
You too.